My name is Victor Okere. Not Okere. I'll be sharing my life testimony. Yes. It's been a while. So I want to thank God first for today. I'm marking my second birthday in God's Lighthouse. And it's a beautiful thing. I bless the name of God. Growing up, I was born into a Christian home, of which my father is a pastor. So we had a level of strictness in our house, considering that we lived in Ajegunle at that time. Religious activities was a do-or-die affair in my house. And my father would force you to do everything his own way. Well, since loving God couldn't be pushed into that box, we all look forward to the day we'll grow up and break out of these shackles. And I watched my older siblings rebel once they got to that age. For me, it made me believe that God is this stern being sitting up there and waiting to strike. I recall twisting one Igbo song that says, God's eye is up there watching us, so tell sinners that the big eyes is watching. My own version was, tell the big eyes not to look at me again. I mean, they rebuked me when I sang that song. As a teenager, I proposed in my heart that I would prefer going to hell because all the stories about heaven sounded very boring. And in my defense, hell would be fun, as all the celebrities would be there. As a teenager in secondary school, I had this group of friends who would sneak out of school to go watch porn, especially during school fee drive. In fact, when they call for school fee drive, both people that have paid school fee will sneak out and join them. So, one of those days, I followed them. I was sent home for not paying school fee that period. So I followed them, and that was the beginning of the end of my good boy status. Shortly after that, I was introduced to masturbation. And since I was too timid to talk to girls, I held on to masturbation strongly. I also got involved with gambling and other vices at that early age. We would go to game houses, play games. There is one we call Konami. We would play till 12 at night, sometimes into 1 a.m. It was all gambling all the way. I know what gambling does. If you gamble, you will steal. If you steal, you will lie. If you lie, you will do a lot. It's just, some of you know. So the next phase of my testimony is my times and seasons. So during my third week here in God's Lighthouse, I was seated in front, which was my usual position then, and pastor was teaching, when I suddenly zoned out and I saw in front of me my birth year, and a red arrow pointing to 6 years after. I was wondering what that could be. Then I heard, is that season again? I can't recall if any significant thing happened when I was 6. Then it came to me that I have been going around same cycle every 6 years, and I'm currently at that point again. So it was up to me to decide if I want to go through another cycle of 6 years. 2010 came to mind, and I recall giving my life to Christ officially that year. So the phase 1, 2010. In my second year, I and my roommates joined a particular ministry. We got born again and Holy Ghost baptized, got really serious that we are almost involved in everything happening in church. I would have very prophetic dreams, as I came to realize here in GLH that that's what it's called. I would dream of things that would happen in my department the next day, and it would play out accordingly. On one occasion, I healed an insane guy in my dream, and 2 weeks later, the same guy walked into my department and came straight to my table. My roommate encouraged me to pray for him, but I couldn't find the courage to. He kept coming for about 3 weeks until one Tuesday, during our evening service in church, he walked in while we were praying, and he hit my shoulders very hard. I opened my eyes and I saw it was him. He walked to the altar and dropped a new pen and walked away. That was the last time anyone saw him. Later we heard he was a final year first-class engineering student of Futo before he ran mad. I felt really bad. I felt I had failed God. Then the enemy came to do what he's good at, turning my attention. How I felt, I call it falling away. My roommate was this very talented freestyle rapper. He would use everything around him to rap. So we decided to showcase it. I became his manager. And by 2013, we became popular all over school and even in Owerri as a whole. Later that year, my artist was signed into a record label. We began having shows here and there. We would go to 2 or 3 clubs per night, from Wednesday to Sunday every week. The label provided cars and funds. My roommates brought the talent while I organized the girls. Everyone has something to offer. From there, I started smoking all sorts of things, in addition to the drinking and womanizing that was on the side. While all this was going on, we were still attending church, paid tithes and big offerings. On one occasion, the governor gave us ₦1,000,000 through a competition. Meanwhile, we had proposed before the competition to give 50% to the church we were attending. We did that, and we still paid tithe of 10%. That's 600,000 gone. Of course, the pastor lavished prayer on us, but we had lost everything spiritual. Phase 2, 2016. The next 5 years was full of ups and downs. The following year was 2016. That is 6 years after my first encounter with God. I was preparing for NYSC when I came across a book titled Following God's Plan for Your Life. After reading, I prayed that God should reveal my purpose in life. The following night, I had a dream where I saw myself in a strange land that seemed to be a Yoruba land, sharing sachet water. On it was written with red ink, the gospel of love. I didn't get the message until my posting came out, and I was posted to Oyo State, which was not part of the 4 choices I made. And God, being God, made sure I had no money when my name finally came out. But before service, I had planned that I had saved up money, that when I go to service, I will flex, will live life, rent house. But when posting came out, all my friends, their name came out. My name did not come out. So by the time my name came out, it was not even in the second stream. It came in the next batch, stream 2. By then, I had blown all my money. So I was left without money. So all my dream of enjoying myself during service was spoiled. Here I was after camp without money to rent an apartment in a land I knew no one. So I ended up in NCCF house. They are the ones that carry the less privilege. Where everything was regulated. Prayer and Bible study were compulsory. I started having dreams again and strange encounters. One day, a man whom I suppose was an angel came to my window at about 3 a.m. and told me that my father had chest problem and was coughing out blood. When I got up to see who was talking, he was already gone. I called my father the next day and he confirmed it. He never intended to tell anyone. The man is stubborn. One day I went to buy sachet water. On my way back to the house, I realized for the first time that the name of the water was actually written with red ink. And I also realized that I was standing at the same spot I had seen myself in that dream. Well, I just let it slide as I didn't intend doing anything with that information. Because I've always said, if God calls me, it will be a missed call. Now, the falling away, yet again. Yet again, the word came calling, but this time with a different tune. It was love, in quotes. I and the assistant Bible study secretary, known as A Rabbi, started catching feelings. And since there was no room for expression in the house, we ended up leaving the house together. In our minds, it was a case of us against the world. Kai, foolishness is in levels. That was how I walked out of God's path yet again. After service, I went back to Lagos and continued with entertainment. We went for shows here and there. I met with almost all the celebrities in Nigeria. Yet, in all of this, I still felt very empty. In 2019, I tried suicide, but I didn't die. When I woke up, I heard my name so loud 3 times. When I got to the balcony, there was no one. A friend told me to seek God, which I did, and it led to me walking away from entertainment and back to my father's house. Then I began to seek God again. So between this time and that was 2017, 18, 19, I began to seek God, and I started to find God in my little way again, encounters here and there. I remember on one of the days I saw, after my studies, I saw a handwriting on my louvers. A Bible passage was written there. So in 2022, which is phase 3, coming to God's Lighthouse, the first time I heard the name God's Lighthouse was in a dream. In that dream, the whole world was dark, and all I could see was a tall building shining from a distance. Then I heard God's Lighthouse. Later on, I came in contact with Chiamaka in 2020. About 3 to 4 years, I guess, we have not seen each other. By this time, I started drawing back to God and started having dreams, vision, etc. I went into ministry to fulfill what I had seen in a dream in 2019. Things were going on fine. Lots of young people would come around and hear the word, get born again, and filled with the Holy Spirit. Then connections started coming. I thought it was God. One from USA, another from a friend who had gone to pursue his music career. That's my friend. I felt it was God repaying me for my labor, not knowing it was the opposite. I got very busy that I would fix a meeting and not attend it. Money was coming in. My friend gave me a Tokumbo Toyota Corolla life was happening fast until sometime in September 2020. I won 1.4 million naira from betting. And in return, I lost over 4.5 million naira to the same betting. I was indebted, which led to me being in prison and losing everything. In all of this, the only people I had coming to see me during the first 7 days and the other 24 days in police custody was my brother and Chiamaka, who would bring words gotten from brethren in this house to me, especially Sir Joanna. No one from my church visited. Mind you, in this church of mine, I was like the assistant pastor, I was a youth president, I was a choir leader, and nobody came to see me. So, when I was released in January 2021, I had to start life afresh. Chiamaka would give me Pastor Ita's messages, which sounded not like anyone I've heard before. Just that he kept confirming things I knew and explaining them much better. Things that when I teach in Sunday school, then my pastor will come up and counter it all. Then in 2021, I had a series of dreams that spanned for 4 days, rather. The dream of each night was a continuation of the previous night. I titled it The Journey, because it was 4 days of different journeys to different points, of which I would continue to the next place the following day. But the last 2 days were of all the most interesting. Day 3 was titled The Setup, and day 4, the training camp. So in this day 3, the setup, I got to the point, I started from the point I ended in day 2 at a place we are having a graduation ceremony sort of. And I planned to go somewhere, but along the line, a riot broke out, so I left my bag in the bus and I came into the house. Then later, I went to the bus to pick up my stuff. Then the bus zoomed off. I was so angry. I was complaining all through that I'm not supposed to be on this journey. In my anger and complaint, a hand came out of the window and gave me a plate of fried rice and chicken, full chicken. I took it, I ate, fair hand with one fine gold wristwatch. I ate it, and I got to the destination. Then I saw some people I had seen, I left there in that place, and they were laughing. And they showed me a video and showed me the face of the person that gave me the food. Then day 4, we arrived from that point, we got on a journey again. Then we arrived at a camp. It's a military camp. I will read the day 4 for clarity. The military camp. On getting to our destination, I came out of the bus. The first sight was a great number of people lined up, all carrying bags, so I joined them. Then it was as though we were to write a kind of entrance examination, which I can't tell how it went. But later, I realized I was inside the military camp. We were standing in groups. That group was arranged the way we are seated here in church. 5 different groups. We are standing in groups, very well arranged, and we are being addressed by a young man. Later on, the superior leader was introduced. Upon his arrival, I realized it was the same man from my dream the night before, who had planned my whole journey. While he was still talking, young people came out to meet each one of us. It seemed that each one of us had someone assigned to train us. The person that came to me was the one who introduced the camp superintendent. He took me into an office and began to draw something on a board. It was an image of a man, and he was doing it so perfectly, with every measurement taken into consideration. While I was wondering how he became so good, it was as though he read my thoughts. Then he tapped me and said I should stop pretending that he knows me too well, that I can do all what he's showing me. Gave me the brush and started bringing different images for me to draw. While that was going on, I heard the camp superintendent shouting at someone, asking why he entered his chambers uninvited. So I got scared, thinking he would do the same to me, so I quietly stepped out, but he acted as though nothing happened. Within the compound, every other person, we are placed in different groups. I was learning different skills. But the surprising thing is that they all seem to be perfect in the skills, like the learning was automatic. I saw some playing drums, like in the movie Drumline. I don't know how many of us watched that movie. And some others were standing in dance positions, war dance. Then I walked further, I saw a set of people settled on the ground and weaving fabric so fast and perfectly. But some of the positions were unoccupied. The weaving machine was there, but there was no one using them. So I said, I actually know how to do this. Why didn't they put me here? One of them, in response to me, said that some positions were empty because people don't like to be there. Reason being that once you sit there, that's where you would be all your life. So I left and kept going around till I woke up. Now, the training camp, why I read it, is what I met here in God's Lighthouse. And the 2 days, okay, let me continue. In these 2 days, one face was highlighted. He was the person who spearheaded the setup, an unplanned journey. Well, the setup for me was Gamka. So in that period, I was doing ministry the way I could. Then Chamaka told me that their church is starting a school of ministry. So in my mind, good opportunity to go to school of ministry. So in my head, I planned 6 months. And I came to you hoping to come to a school of ministry for 6 months, get a certificate, get ordained, and zoom off. The 6 months is still not over yet. So after about 2 weeks, I was in church cleaning and waiting for people to come so I would teach Sunday school. Then I heard, haven't you realized that the man in your dreams is Itaudo? I paused, picked up my phone and called Chiamaka to send me her pastor's picture if she had it. And by the time she sent it, lo and behold, it was the same man. That's the man that gave me the food on the journey and the superintendent of the camp. Later on that year, I got that I was to leave Lagos. And that was the period GAMCA classes started, which happened to be the setup in reality. My plan was to come for GAMCA, which will not last more than 6 months in my mind. Then I would move to maybe Port Harcourt or somewhere else to start life and ministry again. But God had other plans for me. Now, during this time in God's Lighthouse, I've had several deliverances. I was delivered from anger. Anger was a very big stronghold for me. I would get angry to the point that I broke things. In fact, one of the days I would have killed one of my classmates. I don't know if I've shared that here, but I'm not sharing the small cycle. I came to class as usual. People will keep seats for other people. And she came and told me that this is my seat. That she stand. I said, please, Vivian, please sit somewhere else. The girl insisted. Started running her mouth. One slim girl like that. I looked at her. I don't know what took over me, and I held her hand. The next thing, by the time I got myself, she was far away on the floor. Her head was close to the thighs, as though somebody held the head from hitting the thighs. That was when it dawned on me that this girl would have just hit her head and maybe died. And several occasions, phones have suffered in my hands. Once I'm pressing the phone and it's not responding, I get angry and I hit it and hit it until I break it. Then I'll feel a relief, like the phone has felt the pain. Nah, foolishness. So the anger was a serious issue. But I don't know when it left, actually. I just realized that things will happen that I'm supposed to get angry, and I'll find myself laughing or doing something else. And I will realize that, oh, wow, this is not me. Something has actually happened. So I was delivered of that. Greed, that was the first thing I was delivered of. When I came to church, on my first Sunday, pastor was preaching, and he taught on 1 Timothy 2:16, right? Or 3:16, rather. Is it 2 Timothy? Which talked about those who want to get rich will pierce themselves with many. So when he preached that sermon, he talked about it a lot. Somehow, I did not realize something that happened to me until 6 months later. I was passing by a bed shop, and I did not look inside. Nothing moved me. Then I realized that, wait, I've been getting money all this while. I've not been tempted to double it like those demons will tell you. Once you have money, they tell you you can double this money and do what you want to do and still have the money again. That is real greed. And that's what led so many people into gambling. And the voice is always wrong, because you will go and you will lose the money and you not do that thing you want to do and you not have anything. So that's left. I just realized after this, I have not thought of even betting or anything. And that is a very big miracle, because even after I came out of police custody, I still gambled. In fact, the day I came out, people have sent some money to my account. When I saw the money, my mind went to doubling it immediately, and I lost the money again. So not like it was discipline that was the issue. I tried discipline, it did not work, but that left without laying on of hands, just by teaching. Also, demonic oppression. I used to be pressed a lot, a whole lot, from a very young age. I would be pressed anytime I close my eyes. Like, it was really serious that I would see images of skeletons and the rest. But since I came to God's Lighthouse, before I left Owerri, my hometown, to Uyo, I was oppressed. Until I came down here, from the first day I stepped to this place, up until now, nothing like that. I remember one of the ministers I was following there online, he said that thing, there's nothing like, it's not spiritual, anything, that is sleep paralysis, that your mind is just awake while your body is sleeping. So you cannot, so I learned to live with it. I even learned how to survive through it, that when it comes, I'll just silence myself and just lift a finger. Then I'll break out of it. I became a pro in it. So I was delivered of that. Also, fear of the future. I used to be very afraid of the future, which was one of the reasons why I gambled a lot. I was thinking, how will somebody get married? How will you make money? How will you make your parents happy? How will you buy cars? How will you do this? A lot was on my head. And the churches we went to, they taught us that God wants us to be rich. So however you get rich, nobody cares. So I had these fears, and I did a lot of foolish things because of it. But since I came here, constant teachings, and that fear, I realized was gone. I had peace of mind. I've never lived in peace for a very long while before I came here. Like, I wake up in the morning, my heart is racing. That was when I knew that fear is actually a spirit. Like, there was no peace, single peace in my life. I was always thinking, which issue will I fall into next? In fact, the first day I met Joanna here, what she told me was that, hope you've gotten rid of your issues. Like, hope you've put your life together. That was how she put it. I just laughed. So I had a lot of issues, and it brought fear. So God took care of that. Also, lust was a stronghold for me. I would do crazy things. After 6 hours stretch praying in tongues, the next minute after the 6 hours, masturbation will come in, and a lot of other stupid things. But that was taken care of here. Also, pride. This is still an ongoing process. I had really pride issues, both the ones that you can see and the one that you cannot see. So how God dealt with that pride here was strategic. I remember the first day I walked in, and Ibiene was sitting there. She saw me. Say, hey you, Victor, you just be passing, you don't even greet anybody. In my mind, I look at the girl. I could size her and know her age. See, look at this girl is like one of my students. I just pass. After then, I will make conscious effort to greet people. Not that I don't want to greet, but if you are not looking at me, I don't greet. But I don't want to greet and you don't respond. Who is shouting yes? Go and deal with your issues. So I learned to consciously greet people and say hi until a point where I can come in and I will greet a lot of people. I bless God for that. Also, procrastination was a big deal for me. I procrastinate a lot. Okay, I will do this tomorrow. Tomorrow will come, I will push it. But hearing pastors' teachings and a lot of other things, I've learned not to procrastinate. In fact, recently I started taking care that every instruction that is given, I put into practice immediately before the day passes. And I've seen a really big level of change in my life, and I could achieve more goals than ever before. For all of this, I want to say may God's name be praised. Amen.